Hey, this is 10-4. We're good buddy. We're solving systems by addition. This is getting more into some algebraic methods for solutions. And it works well when we have certain types of equations, and one in particular where one of the variables is opposite the other one. And the idea here is if we add if the sum of the left sides of two equations equal the sum of the right sides of those equations, then using the generalized addition property of equality for all numbers or expressions, a, b, c, and d, if a equals b and c equals d, then a plus c equals b plus d. Well, what the heck does this mean for a system of equations? Well, let's kind of look at what they were talking about. If I look at x plus y as being my a, so a equals x plus y, and b is equal to what a equals b, so b equals 5300, then c equals x minus y, and d equals 1200. So from this property, there's what we know from that if we add the same thing to both sides of the equation, it remains equal, right? If a equals b, then a plus c equals b plus c, right? Remember that? Well, now what we're doing through transitivity is that since c equals d, we can add c to one side of the equation and d to the other. And in adding these two equations together, we're satisfying this property. We're going to end up with x plus x is 2x. Y minus y is just 0. And then our 6500 is our result. So now we get that 2x equals 6500, so x equals 3250. And now that we've got x, we can go back in and solve y. So this idea of the generalized addition property is why this adding of two equations together works. It's because x minus y is equal to 1200. Therefore, I'm adding the same thing to both sides of the equation. They're just represented differently. Let's try some problems. Solve the system. Done yet? Yes? No? Let's go with it. I need to be able to write. I got a system of equations. A negative 3x plus 2y equals a negative 11. And I have that a negative 3x plus 5y equals a negative 14. Okay, let's go to example 1. This says that for 2 days in a row, gas prices hovered around price P. On the first day, they were $D above price P, resulting in a price of $2.19 per gallon. Second day, they were D below price P, resulting in a price of $2.07 per gallon. What price are P? What price P are they hovering around? How much is the price fluctuating day by day? Well, I need two equations, so I get the price P plus D equals 219, and P minus D is equal to 207. So there's my system. Convenient. that I have the opposite of d, so I can simply add both equations together. So I get that 2p, p plus p is 2p, d minus d is 0, so plus 0 equals, and I add these together, so let's see, that's going to be 426, is that right? Divide it by 2, and I get the p is 213. That's it. I have to set up the equations. That's probably the trickiest part of the whole thing. Figure out how to do the substitution, how to add them together, and there we go. We got our answer, 213. So look at this next problem, and this solved the system. Great. Hey, this is going to be easy. I got a system of equations. I go ahead and write it. 3x plus 2y equals a negative 11, and a negative 3x plus 5y equals negative 14. Nothing's opposite anything else here. So I can't just add these together. I've got to do something else first. Opposites. I need an opposite. I know what changes things to an opposite. If I multiply by a negative 1, that makes something its opposite. So I'm going to multiply one of these whole equations by negative 1. So I'm going to number these just as a way of keeping track, so that I can say I'm going to multiply 2 by a negative 1. So that's going to be my first step, and I'm going to rewrite my system. I have a negative 3x plus 2y equals a negative 11. Negative 1 times a negative 3x is 3x. A negative 1 times 5y is a negative 5y. And a negative 1 times a negative 11, negative 14, sorry. Negative 1 times a negative 14 is 14. Now I can add the two equations together. I get 0 here, negative 3x plus 3x. I get a negative 3y equals 3. So y equals 3 divided by a negative 3 equals a negative 1. I want to find out what x is, so I'm going to plug it back into one of these equations. And I get a negative 3x plus 2 times a negative 1 equals a negative 11. 2 times a negative 1 is a negative 2. I'm going to add 2 to both sides of the equation. Negative 3x equals a negative 9. Negative 3 goes into negative 9. Negative into a negative is a positive, and it's 3 times. So I have my solution is 3, negative 1 is the solution for the system of equations. In this case, we had to create an opposite by using the multiplication property of equality that says if I multiply both sides of an equation by the same number, it remains equal. That's what allowed me to succeed with that last problem. Okay, let's take a look at the guided example. This is on page 604. Same idea here. We're going to be looking for a way to substitute, but first things first, we need to set up the equation. We have a hotel offering weekend specials, 3 nights, 6 meals, 3 nights, 2 meals, and it's for a certain amount. We're going to, at these rates, what is the cost of one night's lodging? What is the average cost per meal? And we're going to assume no discount for the 6 meals, that they're both going to be the same meal pricing in total. So N is going to be the one night's lodging. M is the average price of one meal. For plan A, it's 3 times N plus 6 times M equals 564. For plan B, it's 3N plus 2M equals 488. Notice the coefficients of N are the same, so we multiply equation number 2 by a -1. And we get equation number 3, which would be a -3N minus 2M equals a -488. Now we add equations number 1 and 3. So our new equation 3, we add it to number 1. The n's cancel out. 3n minus 3n is 0. 6m minus 2m is 4m. And 564 minus 488 is 76. So it asks this question, does your last equation have only one variable? If so, solve this equation. If not, help Mr. Wizard. You need some help. Find out what went wrong. Should have canceled out. So M equals 19. 4 into 76, right? Yep. Substitute this value of M in either equation. Solve for N. What do you get? If M is 19, then N is equal to 150. What is the price of one night's lodging? $150. What is the average cost of a meal? 19. You've solved the problem. This is example 3. That's it for 10-4. Good luck on the mastery quiz. See you in class.